Today we're going to talk about my favorite part of the show, truly. It's the Flowers From You feature that includes flower arrangements that have been created by you, the viewers. I'll share the history of this feature, what we thought about calling it originally, how it emotionally affected me, and why it's such an important part of Life in Bloom. Plus, we'll discuss how we came up with the nickname Schwankies, and a lot more in this Behind the Bloom podcast, all about Flowers From You, the viewers.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, RJ, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. What are we going to talk about today?
So we're going to talk about Flowers From You, the segment on your show where your fans send in pictures of their arrangements.
This truly is my favorite part of the show. I mean, and I know I say that, but it's like, now for my favorite part of the show, Flowers From You, the viewers. We just never expected this to happen. We just started getting loads of emails and messages and social media posts and letters, snail mail letters of stuff people were creating because they were inspired by the show.
So unprompted, it just started organic.
Yeah. People were just like, I want to show you what I made for my garden, and I was like, this is so great. And so I was telling my rep at American Public Television, Judy, about it, and she was like, you need to incorporate that into the show. It would be so great. And, I think about it now because I'm a huge Lydia Bastianich fan, and I watch her show, and she's always taking out her little phone out of her pocket, and she's looking at her at the messages that she gets. And so this is our version of that. But so many times ours they always include pictures.
Cool.
We just never, ever expected that people were going to send in pictures of their stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We added them, and I think the first... I know it's in 6 for sure and 7 for sure. So I think it's 5, 6, 7. And it's ongoing now.
Yeah.
I try and search them, but we get like 30 or 40 a day.
Wow. How cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
When you combine it all together with all of the mail that we get about all the things that people want to talk about, it's about 600 to 700 a week.
Wow.
It's wild. These all go into a special spot for consideration for the Flowers From You, the viewers, that is on the show. But then we also now have a sweepstakes that we do. We used to call it a contest, and we don't call it a contest anymore because people said, how you're not winning because it's a random drawing. And that's true.
Okay.
So it is a sweepstakes.
And that's called the Schwankies?
Share Your Schwankies sweepstakes.
I love that.
When we thought about this first and we were going to call it something, I have these two friends, the Gomezes, Kelly and Brad Gomez, who live in outside of Orlando. They do a thing called Finer Things Sundays. After they started watching our show, they felt that they had such rough work weeks and things were so hard that they like to, what they call, pull up the drawbridge and stay home. They would fix their favorite meals. They would have their favorite cocktail. And then they decided they were going to make flower arrangements.
Oh, cool.
So they started sending me these Finer Things Sundays. FTS is their acronym for them. It was these arrangements that they were making. Well, then they were like, we're kind of frustrated because our flowers don't last as long. And I was like, are you using a flower food? And they were like, no. So I turned them on to Chrysal Professional 3. They buy it in the big drum now because they use it all the time. But and they said this was a game changer. It was a game changer for us to use the Chrysal Professional 3 and then also add the anti-transpirants or use the CVBn tablets when they're doing Gerbras or things that have fuzzy stems. That was a game changer for them. Well, then they finally went one day. They were going to their local grocer and stuff to get their flowers. They decided to drive to Gainesville, which I understand is like a 45-minute trip for them.
Okay.
Took one way. And so they'll go, and they went to Trader Joe's. And they were blown away by what Trader Joe's have. And so every week now, they take a 45-minute trip. And it's so funny. They will send me pictures of them in their car singing the theme music to Life in Bloom. That's just how crazy
Oh,
these Gomez's are. They
that's
are
incredible.
amazing, and they vacation frequently too in Key West, and when they go to an Airbnb that they like, that they go there, that they go to all the time. Well, they start making arrangements for the Airbnb when they're there, and so the people are always so excited when they get to be with the Gomez's at the Airbnb because then there's gonna be decorations around, and so they were the ones, and the story goes that Kelly would say to Brad, "Hey, did you check the water in the flowers?" And he's like, "Yeah, check the Schwankies today. They're all okay." So that's where the name came from. And so they refer to these arrangements as Schwankies. And so then we picked it up and we started calling them Schwankies because of Brad and Kelly. I love that. So when we were thinking about what we were going to call the contest, we decided that show us your Schwanky was not appropriate. That it should be share your Schwanky. So
Okay.
we went with share your Schwanky. And so now the interesting thing about this, and this is what I would tell anyone who's listening, we love that so many people enter this and we just absolutely love it. There's rules for sharing your Schwanky, okay? And because we got to have information from you. One of my biggest jobs is that every day I will get, here's my picture of my Schwanky, here's a picture of my Schwanky, here's a picture of my Schwanky, and there's nothing else.
Okay.
And so I have to email or correspond or message back the person and say, okay, now. And so you can go to my blog at ubloom.com and you look up Share Your Schwankies, and there's the rules there. We need your name, your address, your zip code. We need your phone number. And we also need your email address. The reason we need those things is because if your name is drawn for the Share Your Schwankies contest, and every week we send out a box of flowers to one of those people. So our friends at Ocean Breeze Farms pull out a name, they take that person and they send them a box of flowers. They
Oh,
need
cool.
their phone number and email address to ship it to them FedEx overnight. That's
Oh,
part of the FedEx stuff. So we don't ever use that information for anything else. But then the other thing that we need from everybody is permission from them to put their Schwanky on our show if we would choose to do so. The last thing I always wanna know is I wanna know where they watch. So, if they're watching whatever their station is they're watching on, or if they're watching on Create, or if they're watching online, or wherever they might be watching, we like to share that in this Flowers for You segment too, because it's important for those public television stations that put our show on the air to know that people are watching it and sending in something. The thing I would tell you about it is they tell me a piece of correspondence, whether it's a social media message, whether it's a letter, whether it's somebody sending in a picture of something from the show that they made that was inspired by the show. Every one of those individual things represents 250 people.
wow.
If we're getting 600 a week, so Miss Farabee was my algebra teacher, and she said to me at one point in time when I was a little kid that, "What do you think? You'll always have just a calculator in your pocket?" And so I saw her one time and I said, "Here, you said that you couldn't have this in your pocket, and I couldn't have it in my pocket all the time." That's representative of 150,000 people every week who are engaged with our show to the extent that they would send us a message.
That's incredible.
It's just really important, and sometimes they're very simple and sometimes they're very elaborate. We have a topiary episode coming up, and this lady made this giant topiary for her garden club. We had another one, they were sending in pictures of stuff that they made. There was a little girl who wanted to have her birthday party be a flower arranging party.
No way.
And so the mom sent
Oh,
in the
cool.
pictures of her having a flower arranging party because she watches Life in Bloom.
That's amazing.
It really is evidence for us of how much we are inspiring people and how much they want to share what they created. That's the most important part. I mean, the thing I always say is your arrangement that you make should please you, number one. It shouldn't please anyone else. It should please you. If you give it or gift it to someone, then it makes someone else happier. Giving or gifting the picture of something you created makes people happier. We just love it. We love that it's part of the show. The Gomez's, I mean, I talked to Brad and Kelly every week. I mean, it's every week. I've never met him. I've never met him in person yet. We just talk to each other every week, and they send me pictures of their Finer Things Sundays and, and pictures of a cocktail that they're trying or whatever that might be. And I love that it's a place that we communicate. They sent me also a video one time of them when we thanked them on the show for starting the Schwankies thing.
Oh.
They're screaming and yelling in the living room. This is what we're talking about. Here we are, But I mean, they're hysterical and they're just wonderful. They're wonderful people. I love Brad and Kelly so much, and they're just a great couple and really wonderful people. And I think the good feeling about sharing all this stuff is super important. So if you have a picture of something you've created from Life in Bloom, it's like sometimes people will say, it made me think of my mom. And I went and got this glass basket out of the china cabinet because she gave it to me, and I'm filling it with flowers and I'm thinking about her today. That's the reason that we do this. Get your memories off the shelf and fill them with flowers, because that's the whole thing. And I think, it probably leads back to I in the first episode we talked about the sorority sisters.
Yeah.
And so my mother-in-law was a member of the longest standing Beta Sigma Phi sorority in the United States. There were these 16 ladies that were in this club, and they were one of the very first ones, and they were the longest standing. She said to me, would you come to our sorority meetings and make flowers for us? And so I was like, sure. And so I would come do that. Well, after a little bit of time, I noticed that like their favorite flower, their sorority flower is the yellow rose. And so I noticed that I was doing the same thing a lot. And I was like, okay, let's make this more fun. Let's you all individually, all these 16 ladies, bring a container. I want it to be a container that has a story that I can fill with flowers for you. So
Oh.
as I'm filling it with flowers, you tell the story.
Oh,
And
how
so they
cool.
would tell the stories of like this one lady brought a container that she was given by one of her, by a exchange student that they had in high school that was 40 years ago. And she said, but I still have this and I still think of him when I take out this arrangement and you're making it in there. Doing those things gets those pieces off the shelf. And I think I will kind of credit the sorority ladies for teaching me how to incorporate getting those things off the shelf and getting them into our hands and filled with flowers. And I think that's you can watch that whole Sorority Sisters episode on ubloom.com, but it was just a really fun thing to have them get those things out and talk about their favorite flowers, or talk about. Then it got to be funny because there's like one sorority sister who would bring these huge containers because she wanted more flowers. There were other ones who brought little tiny vases because they didn't want to take advantage of me. And I was
Oh.
like, bring me bigger vases. I mean, I don't want a vase that, I can get one flower in.
Yeah.
But it was just, that was the thing that they did. And I think that's an important part about it, is that's part of that Flowers From You. Flowers From You, the viewers, is the sorority sisters too.
Oh, that's really sweet. Did you have any, favorite Schwankies that you wanted to talk about?
There's so much stuff, and I think that one of the things that I think is important about this too is that people send me really personal messages. They may or may not be accompanied by an arrangement. That was the other part of this that was so meaningful, is that I had a person who sent me a note about that they suffered from substance abuse, and they had tried everything that they could think of to get off of it. And watching the show and arranging the flowers for them was a gateway for them to get off of the addiction.
Oh, wow.
It's little it's it's little stories, but they're so meaningful. We had a lady who was caring for her husband. Her world became very small because she had to move his bed into the kitchen, and they had a great room where she was fixing food, caring for him, and watching television. And she was taping our shows because it made her feel good. She lost him with his bout to cancer, but
Mhm.
she still has the show, and the show is a reminder to take care of herself. It's really interesting. As far as like favorite stuff though, I mean, I love the little girl who wanted to have the party. My friend Richard Bowie, also sends me pictures of his dogs. I love it when a viewer feedback picture includes pets or
Oh, yeah.
animals. There's one lady who has a garden in Seattle, and it's out in her backyard, and she was taking pictures of the deers and didn't mind that the deers came through and ate some stuff on occasion. So I love seeing that too. So it's always I think if I was going to tell you if something's special, it's because it's personal. It doesn't matter. Like, I think that some people apologize too about how small the arrangement is. That doesn't matter. It, if you were pleased enough to take a picture and then you're going to share it with me, that's the important part. That's what makes it so special and makes it so important. There was a lady who made flower rings for her bridge group one time too, which was really fun. And let people who make flower crowns for themselves. I love that. I love it when somebody else makes a flower crown and uses it. They're all good. I mean, and it's really funny because don't think I've run across one that I wasn't like, "Oh, this is cool." You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Yeah, the pleasure that people get from sharing it is super important too. I want them to be able to share it with me and know that it's fun.
Oh, Jay, I also wanted to say you have a gift when it comes to sending really kind emails. I don't know if I've told you this before, but I love all of your emails, and I imagine all of your, viewers that send these in, get it really touches them when you respond. I just wanted to say you put so much thought and you just feel so like, I don't know, heard, and you're so kind. Just like not only in person, obviously, which everyone can see, but I wanted to say through email too. Um, so
I appreciate that. I was on the A list with Allison Leibovitz, and she asked me a question that nobody's ever really asked me before. And she said, "What do you want to be remembered for?" Immediately, it sprang to my mind that I want to be remembered for being kind. It doesn't cost anything, it's free, it's rare sometimes,
yeah.
and it doesn't hurt anyone to be kind. I have Post-it notes around the house that remind me of things. I have two that are very important, one that just says grateful and one that says thankful. I am grateful and thankful for all of the feedback that we get. And I'm grateful and thankful for the opportunity to be able to generate a television series that causes people to want to write to me and talk to me. I grew up on Mr. Rogers, and I always knew that Mr. Rogers returned all of the letters that people sent. I do that too. That was my promise to myself that I was going to do that when the show started. If that ever, reared its head, I was going to make sure that I do that. So it's part of my daily ritual to write back to people. I will be honest, it takes a lot less energy to be kind than it does to be mean.
Yeah.
And I will say that there's people, the lovely lady this morning, Catherine, who wanted to talk to me about flower foam and the challenges and difficulties of flower foam as far as an environmentally sound object. And there's been a lot of changes. There's a brand new flower foam that is completely biodegradable that is not made out of any plastics. And they're testing it right now and it looks really promising. And I'm looking at it and I'm hoping to use it in season 9. But in some of our earlier shows, we use the green flower foam that, is a microplastic. Thing that I think is challenging is just reminding people about when they want to challenge me about something. I'm very careful. I'm choosing words carefully, but I think that it's true. I mean, I get emails where people are angry,
Oh, okay.
most typically about the music. It's interesting, or the way I say foliage. Yeah, there's that, But I mean, people don't like the way I say foliage. Sorry, and it's just it takes a little bit of crafting, but it's important to say to them that it's important. I love the music on my show.
Yeah.
I truly love it, and
Yeah. So do
uh,
I.
Ben created it, and we use it on the podcast, and I like it. I found out from someone, a linguist, who told me that it asked me, "Is it most common that those people who don't like the music are older men?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is." And they were like, "It's very interesting because your tonality of your voice and the strumming of guitars bleed together for people who are hard of hearing."
Oh, interesting.
And she said that I am not surprised that those people say something to you because it could be difficult for them to hear. And I said, that's why our show's closed captioned, so that you could turn it off and close caption it. And I said that to someone one time, and the person wrote back to me and they said, well, I don't want to do the closed caption. And I was like, they had a specific type of music they wanted me to use. They wanted me to use classical music. And I said, okay, here's the deal too. I would also have to pay for classical music because I would have to lease it and rent it and pay to be able to use those classical pieces. I think what's interesting about that is I said, okay, so here's the deal. Turn on the closed captioning and put on the classical music that you want.
There you go.
And then you can read the closed captioning and you can do that. And I think that that's a kind response. I mean, my
Yes.
other response is that I like my music and it's my show.
Right. Yeah.
So there is that,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't necessarily think that that's the kindest response. And so I want to figure out, I want everybody to figure out what their challenge is and solve a problem or come up with a solution.
Oh, yeah.
That's always extremely important. And I do love that the Merriam-Webster dictionary there's two ways to pronounce foliage and foliage, both of them. So the second way is the way that I say it. And it is not incorrect if you go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary and you put in how to say it. And there's two different buttons to push.
There you go.
And so I like to direct them to that and say, here, I'd like you to see this. And you can go do this, and this will be fun for you, and then everything hopefully. And here's what I would say about kind emails. They generate more.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny because people apologize. My friend Mike, who wrote me yesterday, said, you're too busy. I don't want to bother you. I want to hear from Mike. I want to hear from people because I think it's important. And it's important that we connect as human beings to one another and that we take each other seriously and we listen to each other and we talk to each other and we communicate. Not everybody is going to be right and not everybody is going to be wrong. And there's always two sides to every story. And so I think that especially in the time that we're living in right now, it's important to communicate and it's important to do that. And so thank you for recognizing that I'm kind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that here's the other thing. I will tell you this too. And I think that this is interesting. I really vacillated for a long time. I end almost all of my communications with much love.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily, it's a wish. It's a wish and it's putting out there in the universe that there will be much love between all people. And that's what it's there for. And I wish people a flower-filled day. I hope that there's a day that has flowers in it for them. And I wish them much love. And that's why I do it. I thought, it's okay. And it was funny. I was talking to the director of WGVU. We had done a fundraiser for their station, and it was an evening in blue, and it was a wonderful event. And people got to come, and I made arrangements, and we just went through the new season, and I kind of told some behind the stories for that. When we were done, I said, I just want to tell you, I have so much love for public television. I love you for doing this. I love my friend Jim Rademacher for doing this. And he said, and a couple days later, he wrote to me and he said, it was just very interesting. I've not had someone tell me that was an acquaintance or a friend that they love me. That meant so much to me. I'm hopeful that that's not something that there's lots of people who don't have people who love them. But if there is, I want to be the person who loves them back because it also doesn't hurt anything to love somebody.
Mm-mm.
And it doesn't hurt to be kind. So, yeah. Support the joy of flowers. The Life in Bloom Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to flower education and inspiring a love of flowers in everyone. The foundation helps fund the production of Jay Schwanke's Life in Bloom on public television, making it possible for viewers across the country to enjoy the beauty and benefits of flowers. The foundation also provides free flower education to high schools, colleges, and floriculture programs through ubloom.com, helping students and future florists bloom in their own careers. Your donation in any amount makes a difference. Plus, all contributions are 100% tax deductible. If you'd like to help us continue sharing the power of flowers, visit the lifeinbloomfoundation.org to donate today. Thank you for your support.
I think it has a ripple effect too, Jay. I feel like, you
Absolutely.
being kind, you telling people that you love them, like, I'll just say from my personal experience, when I'm sending an email, I sometimes think, like, I wanna write it a little more like Jay. I'm like I'm like, "How can I be a little
It's
kinder and,
yeah.
take some of that and
Oh,
incorporate
well,
that into
that's
my life?"
good.
And so I feel like every person that you respond to in that way is probably in that same mindset, and so I just wanna let you know that what you do, the kindness, you definitely, like, show it the way that you live your life, and I think that that rubs off on other people too. So thank you for being that way, Jay.
Thank you for saying that. I
Mhm.
appreciate it. I think it's fun too. I think
Yeah,
that's the other thing, is it's fun. It's
yeah,
fun to and you know what? I will tell you this, people when you're nice to people, they're surprised usually.
yeah.
And I'm always just like, "It shouldn't be a surprise," but it's also like, just taking a step back and deciding, "Is this is it" I always think about this a lot. "Is this the hill I wanna die on?"
Right.
My dad was a Marine, and my dad was I was just like, "Is this the hill we're gonna die on? Are we gonna die on" that I used to have to mow 7 acres of lawn
Mhm.
by hand. I mean,
Oh
with a
my
push
god.
mower.
Yeah, gosh.
Every week, and it was like the Golden Gate Bridge, it never stopped,
Yeah.
I would just when I would get done with it, I would have to start over again, and I'm horribly allergic to cut grass. My
Oh,
eyes swell
no.
shut,
Oh,
and so, my dad would just be like, "Oh, that kid's complaining so much about mowing the lawn," and my eyes would be all swelled shut and all red and everything, and I was just like, "Is this the hill we're gonna die on?"
yeah.
And when I left home I got married and I left home,
Mhm.
and when I did that, that day my dad bought a riding lawnmower for him to mow
Oh,
all that.
no.
And we also had a coal furnace. And so twice a day in the winter, I would have to shovel coal into the hopper that fed it into the furnace, right? And if you didn't do that, your house would fill with smoke that would kill everyone.
Mhm.
So I think, A, they're all very lucky I did not decide to kill them all. But my sister before I was born had to fill the hopper, and I have to fill the hopper. And interestingly enough, both of our chiropractors told us, when you were a little kid, did you carry heavy stuff or like shovel heavy stuff? Because there's some damage to your spine that would have been caused by that when you were young children. And it was like, yeah, we shoveled coal. And my sister still lives in the house that used to have the coal furnace in it. The Monday morning after I got married, my dad took out the coal furnace and put in a gas furnace.
Oh,
So there's that.
okay.
So yeah, so it's just kind of like, so what hill are we going to die on? So that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's the coal furnace hill that we're going to die on. But yeah. So, but I mean, so I think that I always think about that is this really worth, and it's like I mean, I fly a lot and I travel a lot. And when you see people yelling at the gate agent at an airport, I'm always just like, nothing good is going to come from this
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
It is not their fault. You know
Yeah.
what? Especially if it's weather delayed. I do
Right.
not want to fly in a storm. I
Right.
do not want to fly in a dangerous storm. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
So make the decisions and let's all decide, we can all be kind. And it is. It's just like it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think what else. We film them, and what we do is when we create the viewer feedback segment, we look for something that relates to what our subject matter might be sometimes.
Oh, okay. I
And
gotcha.
so, like when we did the topiary tree, we looked for someone who did topiary. We didn't include them in Hawaii because we had so much Hawaiian stuff that we wanted to share. So on occasion, like you won't see them; they won't be in a Christmas episode or a special episode or when we do something like that. But if we have something that relates to it, they're going to be there. Sometimes we do more than one. So we've got to the point where we're doing like 1 or 2 or 3 of them,
That's
in a
awesome.
show. And I like that part of it because I think that again, the thing with Lydia, I think, my Lydia story is very funny because I do love her and I watch her show, and her show used to be on after my show in my own market. So we would watch my show and then we would watch Lydia. I've learned so many wonderful things from her. She's so amazing. And one time we were at the American Public Television Fall Marketplace, which is where we go to promote our show. We were giving a break for these. They sit in a big screening room for 3 days and look at all the different things that they have the option to put on their stations.
Oh, cool.
And so you try and impress them and you try and do something. So I sponsored a break and I got to come out and talk to them. We had edible flowers and we had like brownies and had ice cream and we had stuff that all had edible flowers on it. And then we also had flower elixirs and stuff. And so once you talked to them, you got like 30 seconds to talk to them. And then you had to go out and host the break so that they could talk to you. I read my little speech on stage. I came off the stage and I ran into, I came around the corner to meet up with Kelly. And then we were going to go out to the break. When I walked up to Kelly, he said, Lydia at 2:00. And I was like, I turned at 2:00 and there she was. And she was talking to Cindy Freeman, who was the director of APT at that time, president of APT at that point in time. And I thought, okay, now I can go out to this break or I can go over and I can meet Lydia and I can get a picture with her.
Oh.
And so I went over and it was very funny. So I walked up to Lydia and she was there. I did not know this, but she was there to get an award for having spent 25 years on public television.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that's what she was there for. And she'd just flown in for that. And so then I walked up to him and Cindy jumped up and stepped between me and Lydia and she said, can I help you? And I said, I want to meet Lydia because my show's on before her show in most markets. And I just wanted to meet her because I love her and I watch her show all the time. And Lydia stood up and she kind of pushed Cindy out of the way. And she was like, oh, of course, come on, let's take a picture. And so she was wonderful. And so then we went out to our break. Well, then after our break was over, we were at a resort in Florida and you had to park your car with valet. There was no place else to park your car. So I was waiting for the car to come in valet and there was a swing where you could sit in this swing and you could swing as you waited for your car. And I look over and Lydia's sitting in the swing, right?
Oh.
And Kel's just like, no, you're not. And I was like, oh, completely. And so I went over and jumped in the swing with her. And she was like, tell me more about your show. I want to know about your flowers because, we have flowers on our show. And I was like, you do, and so we visited a little bit and we swang back and forth. And then her car came up and she drove away. And it was just really wonderful. And she is the nicest, kindest person that you see. I just love that she has those little bits in her show where people are asking about, what cheese should I use or how can I think about something different? And she has a response for them. And that's what we wanted to do. At the same time, though, I think in our case, I just want to make sure that I compliment what they created. And that's the other thing is I always give my 2 cents about what I saw or what I loved about the picture that they sent in. It's beginning to make me understand, RJ, why you said that podcasts sometimes include questions. So, I hope that people send in questions and we can address those questions. But I'm always fearful of questions because I don't know what to plant in your yard.
Oh, right. Right.
I don't know. And so many people say this to me. My daughter's getting married. What flowers should she have? No, I have no idea. I've never met your daughter. Never talked to her. Don't know her. What I think she should have has nothing to do with what she wants because it's her day.
Right. Right.
Or what I always joke about this because with mothers and when I had my flower shop and did weddings, I will always say this. It's the mothers of the bride's wedding. If you want to have your own wedding, you need to have a daughter so you can have them get married so you can do what you want for their wedding. Because it's always what the mother wants. And it just makes me so tired. And so I'm always just like, oh, no. And I will say this straight up. I always say, I hate weddings. I hate brides and I hate their mothers because I don't have any desire or passion to pick out the flowers for your wedding or to tell you what shoes go with your dress or what fingernail polish you should wear or what any of that stuff is. I would rather be making a flower arrangement or teach you how to make a flower arrangement in a memory that you have on your shelf and pull down off the shelf. I would much rather do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm not the wedding guy. And I did hundreds of weddings. It was always crazy. I don't strive to do that anymore. And I even had one guy one time who goes, you have to do my wedding. And I was like, I don't have to.
Yeah,
I don't have to do anything. But you don't want me to do your wedding. That was my other thing is you really don't want me to do your wedding. Because I don't want to do it. And you should be going. I have so many friends who have amazing special event companies and wedding companies who are so passionate about it, who create some of the most dynamic and incredible things I've ever seen in my entire life. Go see them. That's, you want someone who wants to make your wedding the most memorable day of your entire life. And you don't want me who's thinking, oh, would this just be over? Can this please just be over now?
Yeah. Well, I feel like the Show Us Your Schwankies is, like, the perfect because people kinda
Right.
meet you at your level. It's like we get to talk
Right.
about arrangements. Like, you've kind of found this perfect way to interact with your fans, so I love that.
I didn't expect it to be so popular, but people love it. And then here's the other thing that we do with the Share Your Schwankies, and I want to be clear about this too, is so the Share Your Schwankies sweepstakes is something that happens every week, and it's not necessarily someone who's featured on the show. It can be, but it's happened a couple times where they actually drew somebody out to send them the box of flowers who actually was going to be on the show. But it's a random drawing every week. So it's those people who have sent in a picture, who have included their name and their address, their phone number, their email address, have given us permission to use it, and have told us that where they watch Life in Bloom. All those things have to be present for you to go into the sweepstakes container. And then those people get pulled out and they ship them a box of flowers. And that box of flowers comes to them. We used to call people and tell them, but now we don't because I want it to be a surprise.
Oh,
I
cool.
want it to be a surprise and show up on somebody's doorstep. And inevitably, I had people who were rethinking, too, that like, oh, I don't really want these flowers. So you send them to my daughter and she lives in Florida? No, it's not an option. You sent in the Share Your Schwanky
Mhm.
sweepstake entry, so that's who it goes to, or, "Oh, I don't want it this week. Can I have it in 2 weeks? Because my daughter's getting married." No, it's one this week.
Yeah.
So that's also kind of why we don't tell people. But
Okay.
then we also post their pictures on social media of what they originally created. Then inside this box is my flower care card, so they know how to care for the flowers when they come. There's flower nutrients, so there is the Chrysal flower packet so that they can use the flower food to make their flowers last longer. And then there's a letter from me that asks them to send me pictures of what they created.
Oh, cool.
'Cause I wanna see what they make too, and so
Yeah.
then we also post those online on our social media. So if you're following Jay Schwanke's Life in Bloom on Facebook or on Instagram, that's where those pictures appear, and so
Okay.
we put them up there. It's just a great way for people to get rewarded, and, people it's funny, it's a quarter box of flowers, which is the smallest size of flower boxes we ship as flower farmers or growers. So
Oh,
it's a
okay.
s it's a small box, but people think, "I got so many flowers." There's probably 100 or 120 stems, maybe?
That's how many is in a small box?
Yeah,
Wow, so
I
they
mean,
get a lot.
it's our friends at Ocean Breeze are known the world over for Gerber daisies. They are the Gerber daisy suppliers, for lots of people across the United States, but they grow millions of Gerbers, and you'll see their greenhouses in season 8. But so there's Gerber daisies in there, there's hellebore sometimes, there's veronica, sometimes there's hydrangeas, sometimes this month there's dahlias in there.
Oh,
And so, along with all the other things. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I have to thank my friend Michael Furlong because Michael Furlong works for Ocean Breeze. You've seen Ocean Breeze on our show before in our chrysanthemum episode. That's Renee. And then coming up in season 8, you're going to see Renee and his son Ivor, who are second and third generation flower farmers.
oh, cool.
We were telling about the viewer feedback at a meeting that I was at for Cal Flowers, who's one of our underwriters. And Michael came up to me and said, "We need to be part of this. We need to help. And we need to send flowers to these people who are making bouquets because they're inspired by your show."
Mhm.
It's a gift from them. It's a gift from Ocean Breeze to these people for arranging these bouquets, sharing their pictures.
Oh, how
And
special.
it's as we spoke before, it's another form of kindness.
Yeah.
Michael's like, "We just need to do this because you work so hard creating the show. We need to do something special too."
Oh.
So that's how Share Your Schwanky Sweepstakes was conceived and born and why it exists today. And we are in our second year of it. So we did it last year for the whole year and we're doing it this year for the whole year. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So yeah, and I just keep track of the people. I mean, and it's very interesting how they're spread out all over the United States. I think in the first year we had 43 states that were represented.
43. That's
out
incredible.
of 52. So that's a big deal. And, so they're coming from all over. And I
Mhm.
love that too. Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minneapolis, and wherever these people are sending in where they're watching. And I love that they share where they're watching the show because I think that that's just an important shout out to the stations. And again, our show is free. So we don't charge stations for our show. It's all made possible by our Life in Bloom Foundation. And so, know that we're giving a free show and then we're giving free flowers and everybody's happy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. My favorite part of the show, though, flowers from
Yeah.
you, the viewers. And here is the statement. I want to see pictures of flowers that you've created that were inspired by Jay Schwanke's Life in Bloom. We call them Schwankies after viewers' nicknames. Send them to j@ubloom.com. That's the letter J at the letter U, bloom.com, and watch for more Schwankies on upcoming shows. That's the shtick. I mean, and it's like that's what we say every week. And I love that. And I love that, and everybody's like, does this go to your email? Yes, it goes to my email. Yes, that's my email. That's my email, and I'm the first person who checks it, and I'm the person who makes sure that you have all your stuff in, all of your information in place so that you can get in the sweepstakes and you could possibly be on the show. So,
And I can attest to that, Jay. That's how we met, was through your email, and I emailed you directly, and I was so
Right.
excited to get a response. So
Right. I mean,
it's
and it
true.
is, I think it is, I just think that there's a lot of, it's two of us. It's me and Kel, the guys. And Full View Films is wonderful, but they're also a contractor for me. So they do a great job. We contract them to do that work. So, we're not in a big office building. We're not sitting there with hundreds of people. If we want to do a podcast, we need someone wonderful like RJ Pohl who says, let me come help you make a podcast because we don't know how to do that. So, it is really special that it's small, and I like that it's small, and I like that we keep it small. I like that you say it's personal, and I like that you say it's kind. I think those are all things that we want to emulate with Life in Bloom. So that's what it's all about. Thanks for joining us this week on Behind the Bloom podcast with Jay Schwanke and RJ Pohl. If you loved what you heard, be sure to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And share it with a friend to help us spread the joy, one bloom at a time. Thank you for taking the time to slow down with us. And hopefully you left feeling a little lighter and inspired to try something new. Make sure to join us next week for a brand new episode. Thanks for being here with us, Behind the Bloom. Hey, just one more thing. If you love flowers, you've got to check out ubloom.com. It's the online home of Jay Schwanke's Life in Bloom, where you can stream every episode for free. Plus, you'll find Behind the Bloom videos, my blog, show recipes, and so much more. There's also a massive video archive, over 1,800 how-to videos, flower farm documentaries, and even my very first series, JTV. All Life in Bloom episodes, exclusive web content, and farm documentaries are totally free. Just sign up with your email. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there's a paid subscription option that unlocks the full library of how-to videos. Everything from creating bridal bouquets to centerpieces, corsages, and more. Tons of content to explore. You're gonna love it.